There I am. I thought I was set up, but hey, I am. I'm here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 28th of March, 2025, and it's Friday, and you have made it to the weekend. Congratulations. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday. Your week is over. Mine is almost as well, although it never stops, right? It should never stop anyway. But we got a great show lined up for you this evening. We are going to be talking about Trump going out and saying that we need it. We need Greenland. We need it. We need it bad. And what that means going forward. We also have another price scare as far as Ferrari, which I find hysterical. I kind of chuckled, which is why we're going to talk about it. I chuckled a little bit, as I tend to do, when I read the headline, and it said Ferraris are going to be 10% more expensive. Well, the last time I checked, Ferraris are pretty freaking expensive to begin with. So, is anybody who's buying a Ferrari really going to be worried about a 10% tariff? Like this isn't the win they think it is. Oh, well, your Ferrari's going to be more expensive. Well, I can afford it. So, we'll talk about that. Amazon's MGM chief is out, and the NFL wants Caitlin Clark for flag football promotion. Yeah, people don't want to talk about that we live in a matriarchal culture and that we live in a society that worships females, and then we get stuff like this. But hey, you guys just keep ignoring these facts that are out there, and I will continue to talk about them. By the way, big thank you to my Twitch streamer. You are ride or die, man. I don't even know if you understand English, but you are ride or die, and I appreciate that. I don't even know if you're a bot or not. I'm never on Twitch, but hey, I appreciate you being here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get some hot takes out of the way. Why am I like off center? There we go. I'm like, what am I doing? There it is. The camera always messes me up because I'm kind of retarded. All right. So let's get to our first. We got 3 warm-up stories, as I like to call them, things that we kind of talk about on the outskirts, nothing that's gonna be an entire segment, but stuff that, is good to at least know what's going on. So this is another win for states taking control of what happens within them. We're seeing this rash of conservatives that are pushing for Trump to fix everything, for very much an Alexander Hamilton point of view, as far as centralize everything, give the king the power, and whoever is president, they can do whatever they want with the stroke of a pen, and all 330 million plus people will be ruled by said pen. No, that's not the way this thing was created, and it's not obvious. How it should be. Ooh, nope, not yet. JD, you stay there. Not yet, buddy. You'll be up in a moment, but that's how it goes. Hey, Lou, you're an all-star. What's going on? Nice to see you tonight. Hope you're having a good night. So Mississippi is now deciding that they are going to take control of what happens within their state, and they are going to phase out income tax, reducing tax at grocery sales. This is a good thing, because if you're like me, you believe and know that taxation is indeed theft. So good for them. Let's keep moving on to this. Republican Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves ratified legislation on Thursday eliminating the individual income tax in his state by 2037 through annual decreases. The bill also decreases the tax on grocery sales from 7 to 5% and raises the gas tax by 9 cents over 3 years. You know what? If I would have, if that's it's almost what would they call net neutral? I don't know if that's the right phrase, but you can go with it, where you're not going to be paying as much at the grocery store, but you're going to be paying that much on gas. Now, if you have something like me, like a Honda Fit that, takes $25 to fill up, that's not a big deal. You can handle the 9 cents. If you have a bigger truck or something like that, you may feel a little bit, but that's, once again, you roll into that argument that if you're driving an F-250 that's jacked up, you don't really care what the gas is. Anyway, back into this article. Mississippi will no longer tax the work, the earnings, or the ambitions of its people, the governor said. The legislation he says, I'm signing today, puts us in a rare class of elite competitive states. There are only a handful of states in the country that do not tax income. Mississippi joins that ranks. In doing so, we plant our flag. I live in a state that does not. tax income at the state level. And I don't know what I would do if I ever had to leave to a state that does. It would just be, it's a crime. I mean, my old state of Rhode Island, God bless it, is it's a crime where they tax you at the federal, the state. Anything they can tax on. These blue northern states that are losing population, they don't have industry. So what they do is they tax blood from a stone, essentially. But what Mississippi is doing is the right way to do it. If you want people to come to your state, you got to give them a reason to. And keeping more of your money is a reason. You know, when my wife and I generally talk about, hey, would we go somewhere else? Would we ever move somewhere else? The only other place that we ever really talk about is Florida, because of the tax system and the weather. I've tried to convince my wife of New Hampshire because I'm a New Englander, and that's, you know, no matter what it is. I always try to be like, hey, what about New Hampshire? Because I've always been a New Hampshire guy, even though I was born in the state of Rhode Island. So it's interesting in that regard. But she's like, no, we're not going to New Hampshire because it's too cold. So it's Florida. So Mississippi, I don't think we're going to move to Mississippi if they phase out income tax, because Mississippi does have that. It does have that reputation, but this is a nice thing to do to get people to bring commerce into your state. Steph has to mention that Mississippi is for, depending on federal money. This may be a way to get out of that. If you reduce income tax, you may be able to encourage business to come into your state. And if you can encourage business to come into your state, then that's how you support yourselves. So that's a way they could be looking at this as well. Up to now, Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming were the standout states that refused to confiscate the wealth of Americans in the form of income tax. Of course, Washington state makes up for that by being absolutely psychotic. So it's not all good. While New Hampshire still has tax investments and interest income, it is presently in the process of phasing those out. Oh, I love New Hampshire so much. Mississippi House Bill 1, the Build Up Mississippi Act, will reduce income tax from 4% to 3.75 in 2027, then down to 3.5, then 3.25, then 3% in 2030. There will be annual decreases in the following years until income tax falls to zero. House Minority Leader Robert Johnson III suggested that a typo in the trigger language of the act may, however, actually end up moving the time schedule for abolishing the income tax. The trigger is actually no longer a trigger because of the 85. I don't care, buddy. You're just trying to stir up crap because people don't like paying taxes, right? People don't like paying taxes. And this is a popular, I'm not wrong about Washington. Washington is a gorgeous state that's run by a bunch of whacked out liberals. Just like Rhode Island is a gorgeous state that's run by a bunch of whacked out liberals. Everywhere liberals go, Steph, and I know you're our token liberal, so I'm not trying to, not token, our cherished liberal. So I don't want to make it sound bad, but wherever liberals go, happiness dies. So that I am right. So, no offense. And even if I'm not right, it's my show. So you can be right about it, but I won't acknowledge it. Just because. So this is a brilliant idea on Mississippi's part. It generates positive buzz. It may be able to bring in different kinds of investments and things like that into the state by showing that it is friendly to business, friendly to people. And I like it. I like it because it's states doing yes, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be a liberal and have empathy, but it's not going well. But I like this because I like states taking it upon themselves. I know there's another story out there. Utah is phasing out fluoride in its water, and West Virginia is getting rid of food dyes. These are all great things, and we need more states stepping up to take care of their constituents instead of sitting down and relying on the government to do everything. So good job, Mississippi. I'm proud of you. Not that you guys really care. Let's see. This is Rickcast. I am Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to hang out with me and get this show on a couple more people's radars. It's Friday afternoon. I get it. It's Friday afternoon in spring. So these are like, these are the dead zone shows. So you guys hanging out with me, I greatly appreciate it. Even my cherished little liberal, I'm so happy that you're here. I am. She's nice because she allows for the exchange of ideas. So let's move on to our next story. This is something that I just absolutely got a huge chuckle out of when I read it. And I'm sure you guys are going to get a big old laugh out of this as well. We all know, a lot of us like to go to movies. It's part of the American ethos to go to films on Friday nights. My wife and I, when we were first dating, and then for the first couple of years of our marriage, we had a movie tavern. Sorry, I got like my allergies. So movies are part of the American going experience. And I was saying, my wife and I, we were dating. We went to movies a lot in the first couple of years of our marriage because she traveled for work and stuff like that. We'd go to a movie Friday night because we had a movie tavern up in Fort Worth. And if you don't have movie taverns where you live, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not talking about that slop from the Alamo House or the Alamo Draft House. That place is trash. I'm talking about like a nice, it was a nice movie tavern with, leather seats that reclined, and they had a nice menu and, good drinks and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun and it was enjoyable. And then COVID happened. And it destroyed the movie theater industry, to which they've never been able to actually recover from. They just haven't. And of course, it's a two-pronged attack here, because COVID shut down movie theaters. And then secondly, I don't know, these people are supposed to be geniuses. Well, not really. These people are supposed to know how to make money in Hollywood, but they all invested on streaming, which is the least profitable mode of entertainment out there. They all looked at Netflix and they all wanted the Netflix money, except that the reason why Netflix was making that money is because Netflix was the only one. Once you flood the market, nobody gets paid, except now you're seeing in the streaming wars, even Disney Plus is getting absolutely slaughtered, because I have it right now for Daredevil Born Again. And my wife is kind of a Disney fan. She's always been a Disney fan. And she wasn't feeling good last weekend. So I was like, oh, we got Disney Plus. Why don't you watch it? And she's like, there's nothing on here. There's nothing on there for $15 a month. It's crazy. Anyway, the theaters are going down. The movie attendance is atrocious in the first quarter of 2025. Now people are saying, I don't even know. Lilo and Stitch will make $1 billion. Outside of that, nobody really knows. Maybe the Jurassic Park reboot will make $1 billion. Maybe the Fantastic Four will. Maybe Superman will do okay. By the way, they all were stupid and they dropped all three of those movies in July or June. They all put them in 1 month instead of spacing them out. But people are saying, how do we get people back into movie theaters? How do we get them back into the movie theater experience? How do we get them to enjoy it? And people have said, well, why don't we make the theater experience better? A lot of places are changing to reclining seats and having menus for food. They're trying to copy what my wife and I used to go to. It used to be called the Keller Movie Tavern up in Keller, Texas. It's under different ownership now, but movie taverns, movie houses, Alamo Draft House. I'm sure if you have something like that, you can let me know in the comment section down below. Yes, alcohol it's like everything else. Alcohol is a huge revenue booster for a lot of these places, and you're seeing them going. Yeah, I understand, but you got to understand, crotchety, the last Jurassic World, and that's because they put like the original, they made $1 billion. I think all three of the Jurassic World movies made $1 billion. As much as crazy as it is, that franchise is still profitable, and it probably will be the most profitable out of the three in the summer. People like dinosaurs, man. What can I say? They like the dinosaurs, man. So I get it. I don't know how good this is going to be. And we looked at the trailer here, 5'2" Scarlett Johansson, like karate kicking a pterodactyl didn't really do it for me, but let's get to the story I'm trying to get to, is that, how do we get people back into the theaters? Alcohol could be a going, but that's not even a thing. How do we get them to actually want to go? How do we get people to actually want to go to movies? That's the problem. You can do the alcohol and the food, but they need to find a way to get them in there. And so this is Variety's brilliant idea, and Variety is part of the trades. So whatever they're doing, Variety, whenever they put something out, that's the industry putting it out there. Texting, weed, and sing-alongs. 4 radical ideas for bringing new audiences into movie theaters. which these sound like four of the worst ideas I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know why. I don't know why X hates me. I usually watch all three. I watch all my streams to make sure they're working all right. And Magdalene's right. That X stream is killing me. Sorry. So these are four of the worst ideas I've ever heard of. It's time for a movie going to get a makeover. From selling pot with popcorn to offering cell phone friendly screenings, cinema owners could soon overhaul the way their customers watch films. These changes, many of them once considered sacrilegious, may give the box office a much needed boost. This is awful. You want to put a nail in the coffin of the industry? You want to put a nail in the coffin of movie going? Do this. I will never go to a theater again, because the problem is the movie theater is going to smell like pot unless they make the pot one 11, the last show of the night. But how are they going to clear that out for the overnight? It's awful. There are plenty of people out there to entice, given that the majority of Americans these days aren't regular moviegoers. That's because most of the movies are crap, and you condition them through COVID and shortened film windows. Right? The theater window is like 3 weeks. Why would I go see? Now they're starting to try and sneak that back up again because Captain America, Brave New World's not going on Disney Plus until May. Yeah. So they're trying to secretly push that window back out, but people are used to it. People are used to it. A, and B, there's no reason to go. So the idea is you have to encourage them with good films. The current crop of amenities are mostly luxe offerings that make the experience more expensive, like IMAX or dine-in theaters, which can be a tough sell if the economy continues to teeter. You want to think that's bad? Start putting a bunch of weed heads in the theater. Because what you'll have is you'll have theaters that do the weed experience and the texting experience, and then you're going to have a different class of movie theater. You're going to have a high-end movie theater that doesn't want any of these things, that prohibits these things. You're going to create two tiers of filmmaking or film experiencing. You're going to have, let's be real, the lower class, which is the one that wants cell phones and weed and all and sing-alongs and disruptions. And then you're going to want to hire, if you're going to want to go out to a movie, you're going to want to pay for a disturbance-less experience. So this is just mind-bogglingly stupid. So you're right about that, Crouchy. I mean, look at the new Snow White movie. Everybody's like, my eyes are hurting because of the amount of CGI in this film. Imagine how much better Barbie or Deadpool and Wolverine would have been if you could have been high. It's degeneracy. It's nothing but degeneracy here, right? Well, imagine how much better it was if you were high, man. It was so great. How about no? How about you grow the F up? How about you do that instead of having to rely on getting wasted? Or, of course, people will say, what about alcohol? Well, the worst thing somebody who gets inebriated is they fall asleep in the seat. Take Kevin Jones, who was smoking a joint outside the AMC Times Square on March weekend before a screening of Mickey 17. It helps loosen me up and puts me in a sci-fi frame of mind. But honestly, I smoke before every movie. You know what we call you? What's your name? Kev? We call you a freaking loser. That's what we call you. All right. That's what we call you. I gotta smoke weed, man, before the film. It's so good. Because you're gonna watch a film like this? But Jones is a member of the AMC Stub A list, which allows moviegoers 10 separate ones. Says he would come more often if he could buy and smoke pot in the theater. How much fun could that be? This is so dumb. Feel free to text. How about Jessica Garcia, a college student in Michigan, loves movies but can't remember the last time we saw him. I just like to stream things and sit on the couch with my phone and my snacks and second screening. So she doesn't like going to movies. She likes having something on in the background. There's an entire Netflix category, which is literally background viewing. You don't like movies. You like something going on in the background. Don't bring that to the theater so you can I already get annoyed now when the screen lights up and it's the brightest thing in the world. Might as well be trying to land a plane on an aircraft carrier. but it's going to be a tough sell. Alamo Drafthouse makes phone-free environments a major part of its advertising. AMC CEO Adam Aron canceled a plan to test cell phone screenings in 2016 after facing a blistering online outcry. Won't happen. You spoke, we listened. While the idea may not appeal to purists, cinemas need to attract younger folks to keep theaters in business. So maybe it's time to find some middle ground. No, then theaters just need to die. Theaters just need to die. Drive-ins are great. There was a drive-in in Fort Worth I never was able to go to, but I loved it because in Rhode Island we used to have called there was one, because it's Rhode Island. There's one drive-in theater in like the northwest corner of the state, and I used to go every summer at least twice. Drive-ins would be a great comeback. That's I agree. I think drive-ins would be a much better thing to invest in than stuff like this. But this is just how terrible the state of the industry is in film is that you're trying to appeal to these stoned out ADHD addicted kids that don't understand the reason you go to a movie is for the choir environment, so you can be immersed in the environment, not so you could get high and be like, look at the dinosaur right across the movie. That's I don't care, but I don't care about that. So sad state of affairs for the film industry. All right, folks, it's Rick Cast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell if you like what we're doing here. Let's get to our first story of the night, and that is Trump. Yeah, well, drive-ins were definitely an event. Let's get to our first story of the night here, which is Greenland. Greenland is not going away. That people thought it was kind of a joke with Trump talking about Canada being the 51st state and then the military action in Panama. And then who knows what's going on with Gaza being like another extension of the American empire or any of these other kinds of things. But Greenland is the one I think Trump is actually legitimately trying to get. I think I think Trump is just trolling the entire nation of Canada, and they're falling for it, which is hysterical. But Greenland, I think, is a different story altogether. So Trump says we can't do without Greenland as JD Vance tours territory amidst U.S. takeover controversy. This was released today, this video about Greenland as JD Vance and his wife made their way to the future 51st state.
Bond was born, not from treaties or trade.
Back to the
In the cold silence of the tundra, a bond was born, not from treaties or trade, but from blood and bravery. While Germany controlled Europe, the Nazis set their sights on the Arctic. Greenland became an unwitting combatant, and the United States stepped in, not to conquer, but to protect. In 1943, nearly 1,000 American soldiers with 4 chaplains set sail from New York to Greenland, carrying with them hope, duty, and a quiet fear. But their ship was torpedoed by a Nazi U-boat, and the frigid waters of the North Atlantic became a grave. Those 4 chaplains gave up their life vests, giving their lives so that others might live, to protect America and Greenland. Their sacrifices helped win our freedom, and we will never forget. Together, Americans and Greenlanders stood as sentinels at the top of the world. But today, Greenland faces new threats, from Russian aggression and Chinese expansion. Our shared legacy lives on in every joint mission, every Arctic patrol, every partnership forged in the shadow of melting ice and rising tensions. This is not just history, it is destiny. Now is the time to stand together again. For peace, for security, for the future, America stands with Greenland.
You got to give them credit. That production value is pretty good. The whoever's producing content for Trump administration on their A game. So they're starting to make the case. Hey, we were there in World War II, and we are. Interestingly enough, about the chaplains, that's a very interesting story, especially for Catholics, because I think there were 2 of the 4 chaplains were Catholic. And it's a really great story about them. Catholic priests at sea, great long and great story tradition with them. But you have JD Vance going to Greenland. Let's get back here. So he was there today, and this is what he had to say as regards to some of his speech. He had like a 20-minute speech, but this is some of his remarks about Greenland.
As he says all the time, and as a lot of people recognize, is a president of peace. We want to have good relationships with everybody. That includes, even to the extent possible, the Chinese and the Russians. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to. And unfortunately, the story of Greenland over the past 20 years when it comes to security is that we've underinvested in the infrastructure, we've underinvested in the security architecture, and we've underinvested in the brave men and women who are doing a very hard job, as Mike said, to keep all of us safe. That has to change. Now, when I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that in some ways, with all due respect to our Danish allies, they had not kept pace, there was a lot of criticism from Denmark, a lot of attacks at the Trump administration, at the president, at me, at others in our administration for saying the obvious, which is that Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And that's what this is about. There is no amount of bullying, no amount of obfuscating, no amount of confusing the issue. Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. And because it hasn't changed, this is why President Trump's policy in Greenland is what it is.
Yeah, it's a great point there, Brian. Getting a lot of Zelensky vibes here, right? We need it and all these other kinds of things. And then finally, I don't have it. Let me get the man himself up here. I know I have his. Here he is. Trump in his remarks about Greenland today.
Need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't. If you look at Greenland right now, if you look at the waterways, you have Chinese and Russian ships all over the place. And we're not going to be able to do that. We're not relying on Denmark or anybody else to take care of that situation.
Yeah, so they're going to approach this from the national security aspect or perspective. And I don't know if that's a good perspective or not, but that's how they are making their case. So he was there today. And so that was him and his wife. They showed up. JD Vance doubled down on the Trump administration's interest in acquiring Greenland on Friday while visiting these United States Pitcoff Air Space Base, as President Donald Trump argued that he can't do without it. Vance emphasized how Greenland is vital to U.S. national security while speaking to reporters on Friday. And you guys heard some of that as well. Trump has repeatedly suggested the U.S. should take over Greenland one way or another for national security purposes, as he continues to emphasize Greenland's importance as China and Russia ramp up activities in the Arctic, saying we have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't. If you look at Greenland right now, you look at the waterways, you just heard all that. And it's going to be interesting how this goes forward with this pursuit, because at first everybody was like, it'd be kind of cool if we had Greenland and all this other kind of stuff. And now they're starting to double down on it. There is the question, is Greenland there for security? Is it there for the vast amount of rare earth minerals that are in the country? There's a vast amount of rare earth minerals. And you see one of the things the Trump administration is doing in Africa and with some ways in Ukraine and Greenland is trying to set up the security of these United States as far as access to rare earth minerals, because right now the global leader is China. China is the global leader both in mining their own country and countries in Africa. If you think the US is bad, you need to look into the Silk Road initiative that the Chinese have done throughout Africa. If you thought slavery was bad, wait till you hear of the financial slavery that the Chinese have put many African nations into. Where they walk in and they're like, we will give you all money for roads and infrastructure at 10, 15, 20% interest, and they can't pay it back. And so the Chinese are like, well, now we own you. So it's very interesting in that. So it is an idea of whether are we going to be the international enforcers? That's that's a great is it Belt and Road? Yeah, I'm sorry. I called it Silk Road. That was the old Marco Polo route. It's the Belt and Road Initiative. Thank you, Crotchety. It had a road in there somewhere. But yeah, look at Steph. If you want to look into real harsh realities, if you think the US is bad, look into what the Chinese have done with their Belt and Road Initiative in Africa. But yeah, are we going to continue to be the world police? Is that what we're just going to settle into in this post-modern American world landscape, because the United States is diminishing as a superpower as far as trying to be everywhere and anywhere? There's been this talk, but will they just stay and be the, are we essentially the Sparta of modern world? We just produce warriors and then we, go and enforce things anywhere else. I'm with Michael. I don't think we should. I don't want to be the world's police. Everybody else can, because we have, and I know people get crazy when he says we have oil, we have rare earth minerals, we have everything we need, we have lumber, we have all the stuff we need to be self-sufficient. We don't need to work with the rest of the world. We work with the rest of the world as kind of a favor to all of them, because we consume everybody else's garbage. We really do. We consume all the cheap Chinese crap. We consume stuff from Mexico. We consume all the stuff from Europe. And they don't, they're not very friendly to us. And that's going to lead into the next story as well. So what do we do here? Do we continue to do this? Do we just take over these territories? Do we take back the Panama Canal as a way of just saying, all right, if we're going to be the world police, we need these bases. We need these bases and we need these resources in order to do it. So it's that. Yeah, Pakistan is another place too. Pakistan, people aren't watching. The Chinese are rolling in there and trying to take all their resources. And that's how they do it. The Chinese go in and they say, we'll give you all these loans. And they say, well, we can't pay these back. And they go, oh, you can pay it back. We're just going to take all your stuff. So they're pretty much the pimp of the new world. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, come on, man. We need 15 more Domino's Pizza strip malls. And we need those places for loan sharking facilities and others, Brian. I know. I'm glad you guys are here to keep me in check. But that's one of the big stories there, is that the Greenland stuff is kind of continuing to pop off and continuing to simmer there. And let me see if I got this right. Pro-Trump party wins in. See if I have this. I don't know if that is, no, not, I thought it was, but it may not have been. Let's see here. Nope. All right. Never mind. That's why I didn't look into it. All right. I thought the last election in Greenland, the pro-Trump party won, but everything is so obfuscated, I can't find it very quickly in the news cycle. All right, this is Rickcast. I appreciate all you guys. My YouTubers have shown up in force, and you guys are dominating the comment section as you always do. So I don't have to worry about you guys. Twitter, X is holding pretty steady. Rumble's doing okay. And I'm going to be completely real with my YouTube guys. The only if I'm ever going to find success, if that is God's will for me to be successful, it's going to come from Rumble. Rumble is going to be the opportunity over there. Yes, Lou, I told you I would get one, and that's a 6-inch statue of Baby Infant of Prague. I told you guys I was going to get a bigger one because A. Mendez made fun of my tiny statue, and being a man, I'm like, it's not small. So I got a bigger one. And there's a couple more things every couple days. You'll see something new in the background. There's 2 new additional things in the background. Let me know if you can find it. I can't, no Burger King. I haven't been to Burger King yet. I haven't been to Burger King. Next week, maybe next week when I go to a Burger King, I'll get the crown and put the crown up. But, so that's what's going on there. But yes, new, very important to make sure the baby infant of Prague, who I have a special devotion to, he is well represented. And there's 2 other things in the background that if you can find them, I will give you a thumbs up, because I can't give you anything else. But yes, it was a center right party that won. Now, an independent Greenland may also be open to like defense contracts and shared agreements and things like that as well. So who knows if that could also be a benefit if you're into that thing for these United States. I need to get a plastic place card. I don't like Whataburger. I don't really like Whataburger, so I don't really know if I want to go in and steal one. And I can't steal it either because I'm a Catholic. I'm not stealing. And maybe I'll buy one on Amazon. I'm sure they have like a cheap one. I don't like Whataburger though. First of all, Whataburger was okay when I first moved here, but I shut my face up and ate it because it was a Texas tradition, right? Oh, it's Texas. You got to get Whataburger when you get Texas. And I'm like, all right, fine. It's great. And then Whataburger got sold to a Chicago corporation. And I went, nah, it's not a Texas thing anymore. People outside of Texas, they're like, first thing I do when I come to Texas is have Whataburger. I'm like, great. Now you're having Chicago-based food. So congratulations. Go to Buc-ee's if you really want a Texas tradition. But it is what it is. It's a teenage. Well, I didn't grow up as a teenager here in Texas, so I missed out on that opportunity, that thing. Yeah, Whataburger also has not been up to snuff since it was sold. So there's plenty of other Texas traditions, like Mexican food and things like that are very Texan. There's a place in a town, I think like 25 minutes away from me, called Belton Schleps. It's a weird name, but they got great barbecue there. So it's great. Yeah, the meatless options, fish tacos is up there. Fish tacos is a great thing. Fish and chips is a great thing. Pizza is a great thing. There's a restaurant down the street that does really good shrimp po' boys. So I have a shrimp po' boy, and yes, Brian would know because you're around Temple Doom all the time. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Schleps, that place, like they make the brisket right in front. Oh, so good, so good. It's so good, and we're going to talk about meat on a Friday in Lent because why not? Because we don't want to be miserable anyway. But yes, talking about meatless options, Michael, you're 100% right. Fish tacos, so good. I can have fish tacos anytime. It's just delicious. Anyway, this is Rick Cass. Let's get on to our next story. We're hanging out on a Friday night. It's a good time. It's good to go, and we're Sheps. There's like 5 C's and 5 P's in it. I don't know how to say it. It's a German name. Sheps. Okay. Well, we all know I don't know how to say words anyway. Words are hard. Speaking of difficulty, let's say anybody here can afford a Ferrari? No? Well, then this story is not going to really affect you. And I don't know why I laughed out loud. I got a hearty laugh when I read this headline, because this is more of that economic scare tactic that the left is trying to do. What was the first one a couple days ago when they're like, oh, your wine's going to be more expensive and your coffee is going to be more expensive and this is going to be more expensive. And everybody was like, that's fine. I'm not really worried about it. Now they're like, your Ferrari's going to be more expensive. Everybody went, well, I can barely afford my Honda Ridgeline or my Honda Fit, so I don't think I'm getting a Ferrari anytime soon. And if I can afford a Ferrari, then I don't really know if I am worried about 10% hike in tariff. But anyway, Ferrari announced it will adjust its commercial policy to reflect potential new import tariffs, increasing its prices up to 10% on certain models after April 2nd, 2025. The automaker will maintain current pricing for orders placed before April 2nd and for specific models, including the Ferrari 296, SF 290, and Roma, regardless of the import date. President Trump's imposition of a 25% tariff on all auto imports and potential reciprocal tariffs from the EU have prompted these pricing adjustments from Ferrari. Now, if you understand how the EU works, Ferrari's a bad example. That was on the news today, though, Steph. When I'm looking at ground news and I'm looking at X and I'm looking at Google Trends, Ferrari's there because people are talking about it. And so, yeah, I agree with you. This point is fantastic. Ferrari, it used to be a work of art. You used to pay the money because they were works of art. Now, like everything else, they're just falling into the same category. They all kind of just look the same. And what are you paying for when you're buying a Ferrari now? I would much rather get a classic Ferrari. That's why they went with the classic Ferrari in the picture, not a new one. Because the new Ferraris are not really good. What is that? The Ferrari 296. Let's see what that looks like. I haven't looked at, I mean, when you're a kid growing up, every dude has a Ferrari poster. And so it's interesting that, let's see, what's this? The Ferrari 296. This is the Ferrari 296. I'm going to say something very controversial here, and I don't really care. But if I was driving down the street and I saw this car, I would, here's what I would tell you. All right, I'm driving down the street. Me and my wife are hanging out. And this thing shows up. I'm going to be like, oh, that's a cool Vet. Yeah, that's a cool Corvette. What in that design right there screams Ferrari? It looks exactly like a new Corvette, right? Let's see, 2022 Corvette. I mean, seriously, I'm going to put them right up next to each other, and you guys are going to go, wow, Rick, you're correct, as you always are. Because, I got to say that. But seriously, right now, you're looking at a new Ferrari. This is a new Vet. Where is the difference between the two? Where is the difference between the Corvette? I don't like Vets. And that's a Ferrari. That's a Vet. That's a commercial. That's a Vet. That's a Ferrari. What are you paying for? What are you paying for? Well, the Corvette had its unique styling, and then they went for the thing about the Corvette. It was a front engine supercar. Everybody else was mid-engine. They were a front engine supercar. That was their thing. And then they went to the mid-engine design, which is a direct copy of Lamborghini and Ferrari and everything else. And that's fine. If you want to knock off supercar, go ahead and do it. I'm not a big fan. I don't like any of the new supercars anyway. If you asked me, I would, if I had the money, I would buy a 2000 Cobra R. It's a 2000 Mustang Cobra R. And the thing was, it's a race car. It's stripped down. There's nothing in it. And it's got 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. It's the perfect race car. That's what I would spend my money on. I wouldn't spend on something like this. I mean, that's literally, you're going to pay for that when you could, listen, if you're going to pay for something, I would tell you buy the Vet instead. I would tell you to buy the Vet instead of the Ferrari because you're paying more. So yeah, this is definitely the middle class, or no, the middle-aged. I just got divorced and I need to find a 20-year-old girlfriend type car. Then again, so is the Vet. But anyway, moving on with so rear engines, yeah, Porsches. I like the Porsche rear engines. Rear engines are great. You can't say that without talking about the oh my gosh, what was the Ford? It escapes me. What's the name of the Ford supercar that they made for a while? It's like the Ford something. Golly, man, I used to love it. But now I can't. Somebody's gonna beat me. Somebody help me in the comments. I'm dying over here. Not that I really care, but they used to make it for a little while. The Ford GT. If I was gonna spend my money on a supercar, I'd probably buy a Ford GT, which looks exactly the same. The Ford GT looks exactly like these cars. They all look the same. They all do. And it's crazy how people, it's like, well, I have a Ford GT. That's great. It looks exactly like a Ferrari, and it looks exactly like anything else. There's nothing unique about them. Like that's the Ford GT right here. Right? What's different about that? You're just buying different You're just getting a different label on the front of the car. So, God, you stupid people with your stupid ads. Nobody likes you. Block, go away. So it's really kind of crazy. So I would absolutely buy a that's right. The Fiesta. No, it's the Aspire, the Ford Aspire. Y'all ever see the Ford Aspire? My dad had a Ford Aspire when his car was in the shop one time, and he was like, "Get me." The joke was you got a Ford Aspire because it inspires you to walk instead of drive the stupid car. This thing was ugly as sin. This was the peak of Ford engineering, I tell you. So it's hysterically bad. It is the ugliest looking thing I think I've ever seen in my life. But Dad was like, I can't believe I'm driving this piece of crap. But yeah, the Ford Aspire was a terrible, terrible vehicle. I'm not even gonna with it. But the back to the matter is like the Fiesta rocks. That's right. The Focus. Hey man, the Focus ZX3. The Focus ZX3 hatchback back in the day was actually a pretty decent little race car. So it's yeah, it looks kind of like it. No, I would have preferred a Gremlin. This thing, you had to crank the air conditioning. It was pretty terrible. But thinking about, we talk about modern cars a lot on this channel because I like to talk about things other than politics. And the fact that they're trying to scare you with, oh, well, your Ferrari is going to be 10% more. First of all, it looks like a vet, so I don't know why I would buy it. And secondly, who said it earlier? Somebody said it I think it was Karachi Eldra that said it. Most modern cars, look at the new Toyota Tundras. The new Toyota Tundras are absolute death traps. Like the engine block is so bad in the new Toyota Tundra. They already have crates of new engines for when the other ones bottom out. People are just swapping out Toyota Tundras back and forth. So newer cars in general are just crap. So Honda, everybody wanted the Honda hatchback. The Honda hatchback was great to tune out. And so that was a great. Hey, I had a Focus for couple years in the late 2000s and it ran. I beat the hell out of that car and it still ran. So, hey, I drive a 2012 Honda Fit. It's a 5-speed. It works and I love it. And that's the problem with modern cars is they're trying to justify a legacy price tag. And now they're like, well, we're going to have to charge you 10% more on this car. And people are going, I just won't buy it. I'll go buy a vet. It looks like the exact same thing. Or you know what? If you want to be super pimp, you go find like a 2007 Dodge Viper, the only supercar that ever actually tries to kill you. And that's because the torque on it, because that was a front engine, front wheel drive supercar. So when that thing took off, people just didn't know how to drive them. And I don't think the first couple generations of the Viper didn't have power steering. It was nuts. But it was an absolute crazy, awesome car. So cars are awesome. America has a great car culture, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think Americans are going to really freak out about having to pay about 10% being thrown on Ferraris. Because most people will be like, well, that's a rich person's problem. That's not a me problem. That's a rich person's problem. And B, if that just means I have to go buy either like a used supercar or maybe go buy like an American sports car, go do that instead. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's another problem that you bring up, G-Money, is that most modern cars are like most modern anything. Like you've seen the meme with the refrigerator that says, I'm going to outlast you, your kids, your grandkids, and the apocalypse. New refrigerators, you're lucky if you get 5 years on them. New cars are designed to just be tossed after maybe 75, 80,000 miles because they just start to break down. The quality is terrible on them. Now we've talked about because of emission standards, they've had to mess around with the gear ratios and the turbos and all the electronic crap. The days are gone. We can open the engine bay and actually see the headers and see everything there. Now you got to get through 5 layers of plastic just to try and address what is a problem. And the worst thing they've done to the auto industry and the manufacturers did this, so they're hoisted by their own petard. But they decided to make everything, you can't fix the car and then go to the manufacturer because they got to plug in a device that says, oh, well, this is the manufacturer and all these other kinds of stuff, and you can't work on it yourself because the car will shut down because it's all electronic. So, the auto industry can die the death it needs so it can be reborn. I saw somebody put in the chat about the Plymouth Prowler. Man, talk about a wasted opportunity. The Plymouth Prowler was the peak example of just a car that was designed to death, meaning that it had a great initial design, and then they were like, oh wait, we're GM, we don't know how to make this thing, so they put in all like Chevy Malibu parts, and it was plastic, and they put the weakest V8 they could find in it, and crotchety, they already have kill switches in cars. It's called OnStar. They've had it for a while. They've had kill switches in cars for a while already. I guess it's, the requirement or whatever the case may be, but they've had kill switches in cars for a while. The Prowler, man, if they put even like a weak V8 in it, it would have sold amazingly, but they put the weakest V6. They put all these hard plastics. They didn't even make a manual. I don't think they even made a 5-speed of it. And it just died, man. Oh, sometimes I see those cars for sale and I'm like, maybe. And then I go, no, because I'm going to hate it because it's not going to go fast. Same thing they did when the auto industry was in their retro phase. And then Ford came out with their version of the Thunderbird. And instead of making like a Thunderbird, they made this wussy, effeminate looking Thunderbird, and they gave it another weak V6. The custom trailer. The auto industry should have died a long time. The auto industry should have died in 2008 with the recession before, and we know why Obama did it. He did it. He bailed it out for the unions, but they should have all just collapsed. They should have collapsed and figured it out on their own. Because the auto industry is just limping along, and people are doing everything they can to hold on to the cars that they have, as they should. Like, I'm going to hold on to that Honda Fit for as long as possible until it literally is just like, you're going to have to kill me because I can't run anymore. So it is what it is. I have my Buc-ee's tumbler tonight. This is Rick Cast, ladies and gentlemen. We're cruising along on a Friday. We're going to have fun. I'm going to give you some overtime because I just like hanging out with you people. Yep. Too big to fail, which I don't think any business should ever be too big to fail. If you're going to fail, that's your fault. That's your fault. Look at Stellar. It's Stellar or Stella, or it's not Stella, but the company that bought Dodge and Ram and Chrysler, that company is absolutely tanking. Chrysler do you know Chrysler, the brand Chrysler, only sells the minivan? They sell nothing else, which means that brand's probably going to fold. Dodge is releasing. Dodge got rid of the only thing that made it worthwhile, which was big V8 muscle cars. And now they put out this like electric Dodge Challenger, which people are like, this is probably the gayest thing I've ever seen in my life. An electric Dodge Challenger, and they even put like electronic muffler sounds in it. It's so stupid. It's just so dumb. I mean, what are the Army guys going to do now? What's an 18-year-old kid going to do now in the military if he can't get a Dodge Challenger at 25% interest for his newly married exotic dancer wife? Hey, I heard that joke from the vets when I worked at the gun range. That was always the Ford Lightning. Talk about the destruction of Ford decimated all their great names. They destroyed the name of the Ford Lightning, which was an awesome Ford truck in the 2000s. And then they decimated the name of the Mustang by making it look like a fat Dodge Neon. And so, really, if you can find that story for me, G Money, I'd love to read that. I'd love to see them bring back the big V8s. So yeah, I bet Oceanside has all the Dodge Challengers. Killeen has a lot of Dodge Challengers as well, right near Fort Hood. And in El Paso, a lot of Dodge Challengers there. I wonder what the through line is on that. The Ford Maverick, right? Yeah, the Ford Maverick. The Ford Maverick is actually one of the few things that actually sells for Ford because it's a vehicle under $30,000. You can find them, and people don't. That's another thing. People don't want $55,000 base entry cars. There's a lot of people. Yeah, there are people that love. There are people that love cars and they'll pay money for them and all that stuff. But there's a lot of people that are like, I just need a car to get to work. I just need a car that goes from one place to another. I don't need a car that can map out every driveway near me. I just need, yeah. So, yeah, the Dodge, the Ram, because see, when Stellar bought it, they spun off the Ram trucks, and that's the only thing that'll survive. So it'll be interesting with that. Yeah, the 10,000 Toyota truck. Where's that? Toyota truck 10K can't get in the US. This thing makes rounds on social media all the time because it's clickbait. They're like, can you believe car? You could get this car for 10 grand, but the US won't let you have it. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Because it'll destroy the auto industry because, the auto industry got greedy and they wanted to sell bigger SUVs. They got away from the car. They got away from the fact that cars are designed to get people from A to B, and they wanted to just sell everybody. I think it's this thing. Yeah, the new affordable pickup truck in Japan. This thing's like 10 grand in Japan, and we'll never sniff this in the United States. But apparently this thing is just like everybody who sees it it looks ugly, but guess what, guys? It's just a truck. It's just a truck, and it would probably run forever. Where is it? Right there. That thing. Yeah, that $10,000 Toyota truck. We'll never get it. We'll never get it at all. Just because Detroit will never let it happen. They'll never let it happen because then they would have to go back and making affordable vehicles for people, and they just won't do it. All right, well, that was a fun segment on cars because it's Friday. It's Friday night. That's why some of you may have gotten what's on the board. It's Friday night, so this is how we do it. I would buy like 3 of them. People are like, I would buy 2 of these things if I could get them. One to drive around and one just to like keep until the other one droves out. Yeah, you're listening to Car Talk with Click and Clack. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next story of the night. Here on Friday evening, the 28th of March, 2025. So, Amazon MGM chief is out. Psaki's tenure of big budgets and bigger disappointments end. This is kind of moves back into what we were talking about earlier. With streaming, we were talking about the movie theater industry and how streaming has destroyed it. MGM was a casualty of this. They got bought up by Amazon, and so they have a couple movies that come out every once in a while. But if you've ever watched like Rings of Power, I don't know why you would. I've never watched it. Or The Wheel of Time, or all these other crazy things. If you've seen the crap that's on Amazon Studios, this affluent white liberal female is to blame. Her name is Jennifer Psaki, and she was the head of Amazon MGM Studios since 2018. She's stepping down to pursue producing, the company announced. The move ends a rocky tenure marked by big budget misfires and stalled progress on the James Bond franchise. We talked about this, I think, a while back that what's her name? Amy, whatever, the lady over at Sony, she's now getting tasked with the James Bond franchise. And everybody's like, no, but it is what it is. Psaki's departure comes just weeks after Amazon secured full creative control of the Bond series, which they paid billions of dollars for, but that doesn't matter to them. It's a tax write-off. Paying a reported $1 billion to longtime producers Barbara Broccoli, she's chopping broccoli, and Michael G. Wilson. Industry insiders suggest that this deal may have hastened Psaki's exit. Under Psaki's leadership, Bond languished as Amazon invested heavily in splashy global appeal shows like Citadel. Did anybody ever see that? I heard that was awful. And The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, which everybody was like, J.R. Tolkien could power the sun without how much he's spinning in his grave with that, which were both costly failures. Salke will transition to a producing role with first look deals at Amazon and MGM, which is just a nice way of saying she's going to be pushed out. While her executive tenure was mixed, some see potential in her new creative focus. I don't care about any of this, but it's interesting to see a newly, people are calling Jeff Bezos conservative. He's not. I think Jeff Bezos is like, listen, I know it's a write-off, but I'd like to see something succeed. That'd be nice. Somebody I trust a lot actually told me last night that I should watch the Reacher series, and he's a very solid Catholic, this guy. And I asked him, how can you watch Reacher after what the actor said? And he just frankly said, he's an idiot actor. I don't really care. So after I'm done watching Person of Interest, which I am binge watching, as soon as this show's over, I'm going to go watch a couple more episodes of Person of Interest because I'm on season 3 right now. Great show. Bezos, he's an opportunist. You don't get to $1 billion without being a satanic opportunist. But you see that the winds right now are changing against DEI, and the female girl boss experiment has been a huge failure. Outside, people point to Captain Marvel, but that we all know that was in the MCU. There has not been another female girl boss centric franchise. And I'm trying to say that differently because there have been female centric franchises that have been successful that have not had the crap, toxic work boss environment. Look at the Resident Evil series, even the Lara Croft movies. They may not have been well received, but they've always done well financially. Then, there's all of the other ones. So the fact is, you're seeing Bezos understanding the winds of change right now. It's easy to fire her, put out a couple projects. They don't even have to be conservative. They just have to. That's Greg. Didn't shut my phone off, but I will right now. It's all right, man. I appreciate it because I'm gonna read that tonight. But thank you, Greg. So they don't even have to be conservative. They just have to be normal, and they'll make $1 billion. That's the thing. People like, look at the Twisters movie, right? The Twisters movie that came out a couple years ago. It wasn't super conservative. It was just normal. And it was one of the most successful movies of the summer. They're actually making a sequel to it. So I don't know what you like, Twisters with 2 S's. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But yes, you have this recent development. We'll see what happens there, but it is what it is. Nobody has found the 2 new additions. Everybody saw, Lou gets credit for seeing the new Baby Infant of Prague, but nobody else has seen the 2 additions to the shelves. I guess I'll call them the shelves of power because I've just ripped things off. Anyway, let's move on to our next story here, ladies and gentlemen, here on Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, do all the fun stuff. Help the show continue. You got 121 people on Twitter X tonight. So hello. Good to see you guys. And my Zyn pack, that's not Zyns. These are they're not pouches, they're lozenges. And I've had that up there for a couple days. So can you just be normal? That's all they want. So no, the Zyn pack has been there for a while, but good try. I appreciate it. They're right in front of you. They're right in front of you. Mm-hmm. Yes. Lou again. Lou is 2 for 2. Yep. Shout out to my wife. She's an A&M Aggie. So we get the Texas A&M, even though Draggy Land and all that stuff is there. It's still one of the most Catholic colleges in these United States. They just built a beautiful new chapel on campus. So despite its flaws, I don't think I'm saying anything controversial. I would make the argument that Texas A&M is probably more Catholic than Notre Dame right now. Once again, that's not really saying much, but yes, Texas A&M is on the board. There's one more thing. I don't think anybody's going to see it. I'll tell you guys about it at the end of the show. All right. In the age of the matriarchal culture, it is continuing, ladies and gentlemen, because this article from Breitbart.com, Caitlin Clark is being brought in by the NFL to promote a new flag football initiative. Yeah. The A&M has a very solid Catholic community, of like a very large, very solid Catholic community. So you got to give them credit there. And it's not a Catholic school. That's the thing. Unlike Notre Dame or Xavier or Providence College, which are floundering and just not fulfilling what they should be doing. But, that's a different story. I don't want to get bogged down in that. But yes, Caitlin Clark is being brought in to help with the flag football initiative because we live in a matriarchal culture and they want to destroy everything that's masculine. I know people go, "Oh, Rick, you're such a misogynist." Look what they're doing, man. They're transitioning away from football as we speak, the traditional old school game of football. The reason why football is the most popular sport in these United States is because back in the day, people wanted to watch gladiatorial events, right? You could say it's our version of gladiators. The Rome had the Colosseum, we have football. And people liked hard-nosed, tough football games. There was that speaking, it was kind of that American, like, oh, look at these, these dudes just beating the crap out of each other, whoever's going to win. Now it's more feminine. The idea, sorry, ladies, I need to get an alert here because we're going to go into the machismo zone. But the fact is that the NFL got greedy, shocking, and they decided that the newest way, the only advancement for it would be to appeal to females. And females were bored with football. It's boring because you guys just watch these guys hit each other for 4 hours a day. That's boring. There's no points. There's no flashiness. There's none of this stuff. And that's not all women. I get it, but they're not appealing to you. They're appealing to the soccer mom. They're appealing to the woman that doesn't watch football on a regular basis. And what they wanted to do is get those women to come in and watch it. And how do you do that? You make it flashy. You have touchdowns, you have scoring. Nobody, casual fans of the NFL don't like, 7 to 14 games. It's boring. Nobody likes that. It's not a lot of fun. We want fun. We want excitement. And so they decided to do that. And when they decided to focus on passing and scoring, they loosened up the rules. You can't hit. You can't do this. The jokes about hitting the quarterback. And the fact that defense is essentially non-existent except for pass rushers because all they're doing is throwing. And so the Brian, thanks for hanging out, buddy. Have a great weekend. It's only natural now, this, and then you have the concussion thing where everybody's worried about concussions. Think about CTE however you want. I don't want to get into that discussion. But with the concern over it, moms were starting to pull their kids out of football. They'd rather them play soccer, which you can get concussions in soccer because you head the ball like an idiot. And then into things like baseball or soccer or tennis or golf, safer sports, apparently. And the NFL is realizing this and realizing there is not a lot of the interest at the younger levels is waning. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to save the sport by bringing in flag football. If you watch the Super Bowl, I didn't. There was a heavy flag football commercial where the woman dominated all the guys. And now they're bringing in the ultimate female athlete, Caitlin Clark, one of the most popular athletes in sports in general. I don't think it's not a controversial thing to say that she's the most popular athlete out there right now. And they're bringing her in to promote a female-centric version of football. So as it turns out, Caitlin Clark is almost as busy during the off season as during the WNBA season. The NFL has recruited the former rookie sensation to attend the league's owners' meetings in Palm Beach, Florida next week to advertise the league on a future of women's sports and specifically the NFL's flag football efforts, according to Eric Fisher of Front Office Sports. If they want to absolutely destroy the NFL, they're going to go down this route. I know people are like, that's impossible. If they do this, now there's enough effeminate men that will watch football no matter what because it's their religion, it's their devotion. But they're on a timeline. There will not be a huge interest in the NFL if it goes down this road within 20 years. The NFL will not be the most popular sport in the union. I don't know what will be, but if you want to destroy it, make it more female centric. Crotchety mentioned the female refs and the female sportscasters and how that's turning off men. Flag football is a high priority of ours, said NFL executive Jeff Miller. It's an opportunity for young women to participate in our game. As we look forward, there's definitely seems to be an appetite and interest in professional flag league for both men and women. That means co-ed. That's what it means. That means it's just going to be co-ed. So it's a continuation of the growth in women's sports and the role the NFL can play in it. It's a diversity initiative that the NFL is taking. And it's going to kill the sport, and all they can see is the money up front. Clark won't be the only outside voice called in to advertise. Tennis legend Serena Williams, Super Bowl champion Eli Manning, and Broncos co-owner Medley Hobson. I don't know who that is. But the NFL is making a major push to accelerate and amplify its flag football initiative, given that the sport flag football is going to be in the 2028 Olympics. Man. I mean, even the Olympics, who cares about the Olympics except something to watch in the background? But is flag football really an Olympic sport? I don't know. Soon the NFL won't be the only one to see Caitlin Clark after what was almost the most impactful rookie season. She's going to be on 41 national televised games in 2025. Well, they're not. The WNBA is not stupid. Even though all the lesbians in the WNBA hate her, they will put her on as much as possible because the soccer moms love her. Men like blood sports and by blood sports. Why do you think most men, and I don't watch it, but I see the appeal of it. What is the most popular sport among men? It's not the NFL, it's UFC fighting. You know, that's like the bastion of, it's what the NFL used to be. Men love the UFC because they have their women's division, and I have my thing. I don't like women. I don't like watching women beat each other up. That's for boxing. That's for MMA. I just don't like it. I don't like seeing women beat the crap out of each other. But that's why UFC is so popular. It's because it's a man's sport. And yeah, they have the women's stuff, but in the end, it's a man's, like, men watch the women fight and men watch the men fight. I guess there's female UFC fans, but the majority of UFC fans are male. And that's what they are counting on. And that might be the dominant sport in 20 years. It might be the most popular sport in these United States in 20 years if the NFL continues on this path, if it continues to try and appeal to women. And I'm sorry, women are fickle and women don't have the type of loyalty necessary. I mean, women are loyal to like brands and things like that, but women don't have it in them to be loyal to a sports team. They just don't. They just don't. Like, men will, we've seen it online, the men who literally spend their entire paycheck on rooms dedicated to the Cowboys or the Boston Red Sox or something like that. Women don't have that type. They don't have that type of energy for it. And that's what makes them amazing, is that they don't. And the fact that they're trying to make this happen is just indicative. They've tried that. They have the bikini flag football leagues and stuff. They have that stuff already. They have that grotesque stuff. And it's kind of just looked at as a gimmick. So I don't even think that could help them. But, I'm calling it, well, Whitlock called it first, and I'm just echoing that sentiment with this headline, is that the NFL is in danger of just becoming an also-ran within 20 years. And this dedication to the matriarchal culture that we currently exist in is being pushed back against. That's why people voted for Trump. They don't want a matriarchal culture. And the NFL, all it can see is the profits right now. And what we've talked about on this program right now, what is the thing that is propping up the NFL? It's not the play. Most people be like, yeah, the games are sloppy. It's gambling. Gambling is the only thing that's propping up pretty much sports in general at this point, because they've all become almost unwatchable. And so this idea that they're going to pivot, it's kind of like how films did this 10 years ago. They were going to pivot to the girl boss narrative, and they're just pivoting back slowly to a normal narrative. Apparently the NFL is too high off the smell of its own fart, and they think they're going to be able to be dominant when they don't know that they're blowing their own foot off. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. As we had some fun, we had some fun talking about a bunch of different things tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. My YouTubers are always holding it down. X, we had almost 130 people on X. Pretty good. For a Friday night, very, very good. Very happy with you guys. You guys please me tonight. I will allow you to stay. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Y'all stay safe out there. I will talk to you on Monday. God bless. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.